After the war, when asked if there was anything the Americans could have done to achieve a different outcome in the conflict, General Vo Nguyen Giap replied that if it had been possible to sever the Ho Chi Minh Trail, greater success could have been achieved. However, what is noteworthy is that the advanced technology of the Americans was unable to completely disrupt Vietnam's Ho Chi Minh Trail. Over more than 10 years of conflict, the Americans only had a vague understanding of it, never truly grasping how Vietnam transported goods to the southern battlefield. With the motto, "Move without traces, cook without smoke, speak without sound," the Vietnamese military went to great lengths to ensure that, regardless of the sophistication of American technology, they could never be detected. In the early days of the trail, the troops had to march and transport goods manually. Moving without leaving any traces was a mandatory practice for each soldier, as revealing any signs of passage could lead to ambush and total annihilation by American forces. The Vietnamese military devised numerous methods to erase their tracks after each march. Sometimes they would place a wooden board under their feet to avoid leaving footprints, other times plastic sheets were used, and the last person in line was responsible for erasing tracks. In some cases, to deceive the enemy, an entire group of 100 people would follow exactly in the footsteps of the person in front, giving the impression that only one person had passed by, thus suggesting the movement of troops was minimal. When moving along stream banks or through forest paths, the guide always followed specific signals left by the preceding group, ensuring that seeing an unusual arrangement of stones by the stream or an abnormal branch could indicate what to do next. For example, at a stream fork, not knowing which way to turn, one could disappear the direction by spotting 3 stones stacked in an unusual manner, indicating a right turn. These signals, predetermined among the guides, were not known to everyone, making them difficult to detect. Later, when vehicles were needed for transportation, hiding tracks became more challenging since vehicles could not erase their tracks, and the engine noise was loud. To address this issue, the Vietnamese military divided the road into small sections assigned to individual drivers, each responsible for memorizing a segment of about 30 to 40 kilometers. Driving at night, in near total darkness, required the drivers to know each tree and blade of grass on their route. On clear nights, the moonlight provided some visibility, but otherwise, drivers relied on their senses, inadvertently avoiding detection by American daytime aerial surveillance, ensuring commanders' confidence that captured drivers could not reveal the entire Ho Chi Minh Trail. Bridges crossing rivers were built under the water surface, so that reconnaissance aircraft looking down would see reflections that made them assume these were ordinary rivers, not realizing bridges were there. Certain road sections were deliberately surrounded by large bomb craters, suggesting they had already been bombed, thus discouraging further attacks. This blend of reality and deception kept the US military from discovering the route as used by Vietnam to transport goods into the battlefield. Only Vietnamese generals and Nguyen Luong Khan, the person who drew those maps, had complete knowledge of the trail's routes, with maps intentionally drawn with a 10-kilometer error margin, understandable only to the Vietnamese military. Even if these maps fell into American hands, they could not pinpoint the exact locations, which explains why General William Westmoreland of the US military refused to believe he had lost in Vietnam until his death. He acknowledged defeat by stating that the qualities of a great military leader include decision-making ability, mental strength, focus on a single goal, and the intelligence to converge these qualities. General Vo Nguyen Giap possessed all of these. That concludes today's historical discussion program. Thank you for your interest and attention. Remember to subscribe to the Legends of History channel.